Hey, this is Chris from GuitArmy, and in this lesson, I'm going to show you how to play some Diatonic 6 on strings 2 and 4. So in this lesson, I'm going to be showing you how to play some Diatonic 6 going up and down the neck on strings 2 and 4 in the key of E. The last lesson I did was showing you how to do that on strings 1 and 3. And now this one's kind of a follow-up lesson where I'm showing you how to go up and down the neck using Diatonic 6, following the diatonic chords in the key of E, just based off of the 5th string. So the diatonic chords in the key of E, based off of the 5th string, we're going to start with A here. That's your 4 chord. B is the 5 chord. C sharp minor is going to be your 6th chord. Your 7 chord is D sharp minor 7 flat 5. Or D diminished if you want. Then back to the root, which is E major, the 1 chord. Then we have F sharp minor is the 2 chord. And then we have G sharp minor, which is the 3 chord. All right, so now that we know what our diatonic chords are, the 4 chord is A. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look at what am I playing on strings 2 and 4 in that chord. I'm playing this E here, and I'm playing this C sharp. From E to C sharp happens to be a major 6 interval. So what we're going to do is we're just going to play those two. So basically what's going to happen is as we're going up these diatonic chords, we're just going to play separately whatever notes we're playing on strings 2 and 4. So here's the full A chord. And we're just going to forget everything and just play what's on strings 2 and 4. This happens to be a major 6 interval here. Alright, so that's what we're going to do. I happen to use these fingers. You can use, I guess, whatever fingers you want. But the reason I use these is because that when I go to the next one, I keep my my 3rd finger, my middle finger on the neck, and then I just switch whether I'm using this finger or this finger, whether it's supposed to be major or minor. I find that easier to go. Kind of scoot around the neck easier, but you can use what you like. All right, so that is the A major. This is what we're going to do for A major. The 2 chord, I'm sorry, not the 2 chord, the 5 chord is B major. So the 4 chord was A major. We're going to do the same thing for B major, the 5 chord. And we're going to play these 2 notes right here, which is an F sharp and a D sharp right here. So we had the 4 chord, 5 chord. All right, now the 6th chord is C sharp minor. So now we're not, if you take a look at what we're playing on strings 2 and 4, we're not playing these 2. We're playing these now. I should mention when you're playing this chord here, this A major chord or this B major chord, the 5 chord, what you're actually playing in the chord, how those notes function is you're playing the 5th of the chord. This E is the 5th of the A chord. And this C sharp is going to be the 3rd of the chord. So what you're doing here, because the chord goes 1, 5, 1, 3 in terms of the intervals that are used to create the A major chord. So you're playing the root, and no, not the root, the 5th and the 3rd. So when I play the 5 chord B major, I'm playing the 5th of the chord and the 3rd. When I go to the 6th chord, C sharp minor, I'm not playing the 5th and the major 3rd because there is no major 3rd in the C sharp minor. We have a flat 3rd, which is E. So so it's going to look like this. What you're doing is you're playing the 5th here and the flat 3rd, the minor 3rd of this chord. And you might be saying, all these numbers, I don't know what you're talking about. This, it's very confusing. Well, you don't have to. I'm just kind of filling this in for people that are a little more advanced and they want to know a little more technically what's going on. But if you're not that technical yet and you don't know your scales and your interval numbers and all that stuff, well, then you can just think of it simply as when I play this chord, these are the 2 notes that I'm playing in that chord on strings 2 and 4. Just kind of keep it simple. All right, so when we go to the 7 chord, we have this D sharp minor 7 flat 5. If we look at the notes that we're playing here, we're actually playing these 2 notes right here. Those two notes are functioning as the flat 5 and the flat 3rd of the chord. All right, and then when we go back up here to the 1 chord, we have an E major. That's your 1 chord, and since it's major, we're going to be playing the 5th and the major 3rd here, which is G sharp. And then when we go to the 2 chord, F sharp minor, we're going to be playing the 5th and the flat 3rd here on frets 11 and 10 right here. When we get the 3 chord, G sharp minor, it's going to be the minor 6th, so we're going to be playing these 2 notes right here. All right, to recap, we have the 4 chord, which is A major, 5 chord, which is B major, 6 chord, C sharp minor. We have the 7 chord, which is D sharp minor 7 flat 5, or D diminished. We have E major is the 1 chord. Then we have the 2 chord, which is F sharp minor, and then the 3 chord is G sharp minor. So we have 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3. Going back. 3, 2, 1, 7, 6, 5, 4. So what I suggest next is memorizing the pattern. In the key of E, the 1 chord is going to be major. The 2 chord is minor, 3 chord is minor, 4 is major, 5 is major, 6 is minor, the 7 is minor as well. At least I know it's a diminished chord or minor 7 flat 5 or half diminished, but we're playing it how we would. Actually, this one technically we're playing it how we would play the major ones. But if you're like, well, how is this? Why are we not doing this one minor if you're saying it's minor? It's because the root is right here for that chord. So even though it's a minor type of chord, we're playing it as if we're, it feels like we're doing, if like this is major, then how's that some kind of minor? Because the root is in a different spot. When we do this one, the root is here. When we do this one, 7 chord, the root is here. So this is actually functioning as the flat 5 and the flat 5th of the chord. All right, so if that's not confusing enough, we have 1 major, 2 minor, 3 minor, 4 major, 5 major, 6 minor, 7. We'll say minor or diminished if you want it. You think that's diminished, then back to 1 major. So what's the point of that? It's nice to know that the 1, 4, and 5 are the major form, and that 2, 3, and 6. The 2, 3, and 6 chord are minor, so you can pretty quickly, if you know how to spell your scale, 1, 7, 6, 5, 1, 7. Here's where the 6th note of the scale is. The 5th note here. And the A is the 4th. By knowing that pattern, you can pretty quickly get up and down the neck, regardless of what key you're in. All right, so let's say I was in the key of A. I was just showing you the diatonic 6 on strings 2 and 4 in the key of A, or the key of E. Now let's say we're in the key of A. I don't even have to think of what the chords are. I just know it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. Because I just know the pattern. That this is the 1 chord, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I don't even, since I know that it's going 1 major, 2 minor, 3 minor, 4 major, 5 major, 6 major, the 7 diminished thing, and then back to the 1 chord. So I can pretty quickly create these diatonic 6 in any key. I just chose E since the first lesson I did was in the key of E. I thought I would continue that. I thought that would make a nice pair of lessons. So it's very important to know your diatonic chords and whether they're major or minor. You want to understand that pattern really well. So rhythmically, how I would use these diatonic 6 on strings 2 and 4 is if I had to play an E chord, and I didn't want to play, maybe I didn't feel like I needed to play the whole thing. Maybe you have a piano player or a bass player, someone's really heavy on the root, so you don't really need to be there. So I think it sounds kind of cool. I'm sure you've heard John Mayer doing these types of sounds. You know, instead of playing the full E chord, just play the 6th, and you get this. It sounds really nice. It's a lot less heavy-handed than, you know, playing the full 6th chord, the C sharp minor. Again. Sounds really nice. But I also like to strum a lot. So So what I'll do is I'll just kind of get this going, just some 16th notes, 1 E end, 2 E end, 3 E end, 4 E end, and then I just mess around with the pattern. So to me, that's just a fun way of practicing it. It kind of gives me some strumming practice, and it kind of reinforces where the 6ths are here, and it sounds kind of cool. It is kind of tough to figure out how to mute all the strings except those two, but if you mess around with your hands a little bit, you can figure it out. Like my thumb is covering the 6th string, my middle finger here is covering the 5th string. The 3rd string is getting muted out by my 3rd finger as well, and I'm making sure that this finger here, my ring finger here, is touching the, my 3rd finger is touching the 1st string. So that's one way that you can mess around and have fun rhythmically with these 6ths. So what I suggest to students, if you're getting a little bored with your lead guitar playing, sometimes I have students, they're like, I'm kind of bored, everything. They'll be like, well, all I'm doing is playing single notes. So whenever they say that, I'm like, well, do you ever play 2 notes at the same time? You know, and if they say no, then I say, you know, maybe try the Diatonic 6ths. Playing 2 notes, it just kind of breaks it up. So my advice, lead-wise, is I would kind of use those to kind of spruce up your lead playing. If you're spending too much time just doing single notes, start putting in some of these dyads or 2-note chords, these 6ths. Kind of sprinkle them in with your single notes, and I think it'll really add some really nice texture to your lead playing. Hey, thanks for taking the time to check out this guitar lesson. If you want to see more lessons by GuitArmy, make sure you subscribe to our channel and make sure you hit that little notification bell so you get notifications when we come out with new lessons. And I look forward to seeing you in the next lesson.